Hey traders, so welcome back to the Sharks Trading Academy's weekly market analysis. And over here, I'll be going through the Bitcoin. And for those who have taken profit over here at the 40,500, congratulations to you. And we are looking for a weekly breakout over here. So 16 hours to the weekly candle close, we are looking for a breakout structure over here, right? So preferably a candle close above, and you are looking to buy again, right? And where are you looking to buy from? Here, right? Because this is a demand zone. Okay, so if you are looking to buy low, buy at the 30,000 again, for prices to eventually reach this 53,000. So there is no guarantee that prices will want to sell to buy, right? We can look for the lower time frame areas to actually catch buys as well. So you can clearly see that over here we have another zone where prices could easily just tap into this level before moving higher, right? And potentially into levels over here. All of these are liquidity highs. So we could catch buys inside of here towards this 45,800 level. Over here, we have the Aussie dollar, and you can see that we have been on a bullish run ever since here, right? And at this instance, this bullish movement may have ended, and this can be clearly identified by this bullish structure breakout. So you can see after this breakout, we're looking for places to buy. And where are we looking to buy from? Maybe here and here, right? So you can see that prices came back down into this demand zone, and this demand zone actually failed to create a new high, and instead broke down lower, liquidate these positions, grab the liquidity inside of here before continuing the downward movement, right? And this made me believe that prices wants to head down. So we don't have to do the guesswork of where our prices going to head towards. Maybe here, right? So we just look for the current swing that we have and look for liquidity lows. And liquidity lows lies above or beneath here, right? So drop down to the lower time frame. So you can see that on the 1 hour, on the 4 hour time frame, okay, we have this supply zone, right? So this supply zone is valid because it broke out of structure. So if prices comes back towards this level, we can take sales into liquidity lows over here, right? Otherwise, drop down to the lower time frame, maybe 30 minutes, and you can see that we have another zone over here. So if prices comes back to this supply, look for the shift, right? The shift to move prices down towards this level over here. Or if prices decides to move higher, then look for the shift higher, right? Into areas over here. And perhaps you can expect your target towards these liquidity lows over here. So this is the projection for the Aussie dollar. Next up, we have the Euro dollar, and you can see where this price movement comes from, right? This area, where did it come from? It tapped into this demand level and give you a potential shift in structure. So over here now, since prices broke out of structure over here, I'm looking to liquidate these levels. So this is our target. Okay. And if you drop down to the lower time frame, you are able to look for buys. But how do you look for buys? So we have this breakout structure over here, leaving behind a demand zone over here, right? So if prices comes back down into this level, give us the shift in structure that we're looking for, we can take this higher to liquidate these areas first and this level, right? So you can look to refine this demand zone, maybe towards this level over here, or even on the 1 hour time frame where you can take this level instead. So see what happens when prices comes back to this area, right? So if we were to view it on the 1 hour time frame, prices are looking to sell, right, into this level. So you can maybe a seller over here. And how do you look to sell? So maybe prices comes back to tap into supply levels inside of here, right? To give you a shift, breaking out this level, leaving behind supply zones for you to take sales towards our POI over here, right? Because you are looking to buy over here, which means to say that you can catch sales into these levels. So if this area over here gives you a bearish order flow, which means to say that we see we have a high created here, and this high immediately broke out of structure over here. So this means that we can look for sales, right? Broke out of structure, maybe leave behind supply zones on the lower time frame where we can catch sales from, maybe this level, right? So if prices comes back to this level and breaks down, look for supply zones here, right? Otherwise, if prices decides to break down from here, then you know that this left behind a supply zone potentially at this level. Then look for pullbacks, right? And the shift to push prices lower. Of course, aiming your liquidity lows over here and eventually this level. Over here, we have pound USD, and you can see that we just broke out of structure over here. So we are looking for liquidity highs above here, right? So where did this move come from? Okay, it comes from a demand zone inside of here. So on the lower time frame, on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that we have an unmitigated area over here, right? So prices came back into this level, tapped in perfectly, and gave us the shift in structure over here. So for me, the shift in structure was actually at this high over here, or maybe even this high, right? So now we are looking for a pullback into demand areas inside of here. Because with this move, we understand that prices can target liquidity lows over here, which means to say prices can come back into this supply zone, come back to liquidate these levels, accumulate over here before moving into our liquidity highs lying above here, right? So this is just a projection and it may not happen, okay? So the idea behind this is that we have a Wyckoff schematic over here. We have the selling climax, the automatic rally, we have the ST, SOS, right? So this leaves behind the ST and B, and in this case, we do not have the spring, right? So this ST and B acts as the spring, right? So this would be our PSY, our PS, right? So this is the Wyckoff schematic that we have, leaving behind areas to buy from. So I could be a buyer from here, right? And perhaps here as well. So this entire area is the sell to buy move. So as long as prices doesn't liquidate these positions, I'm looking for a sell to buy, right? So if you are dropping down to the lower time frame, you can catch sells here. Okay, catch sells, look for confirmation in the shift to liquidate these positions, potentially tapping into this level to accumulate. And with this move, we expect prices to tap into these liquidity highs, right? But if prices decides to break down, so we don't see any shift here, okay? Let's say we continue to see bearish order flow all the way down into this level, you could be a buyer as well and look for accumulations and the shift, leaving behind demand zones to catch buys into this area, okay? So this is our bias on the daily time frame because we have this breakout structure over here. So we are looking to liquidate these levels before moving potentially lower, okay? Next up, I'll be talking about the UCAD. And you can see that over here, we have a Wyckoff schematic, leaving behind a demand zone by means of the STMB. And prices are now in our POI. So for traders who are looking to buy previously over here, there is no buying opportunity inside of here, right? Maybe on the lower time frame you have. And this is the problem with looking for lower time frame entries because you do not know when is the real shift, right? You understand that prices are delivering bearishly. And over here, you may have gotten a shift as well, right? Maybe inside of here, you have a Wyckoff on the 1 minute, right? Selling climax, automatic rally, ST, STMB, the shifts, the test into these areas. So these are intermediate price action you can actually look to buy into supply zones inside of here because this is a valid supply. Although we are on the demand zone, this supply broke out of structure over here, which means that there may be interest in selling, right? There are people who are interested in selling here as well on the lower time frame, right, to push prices into perhaps liquidating these lows. And this is what we see over here because prices are delivering bearish, right? And unless we see the shift that break out of these highs, then leaving behind a demand zone like now, only then can we look for buy opportunities, which is right now, right? So if you understand how we actually caught this move on Friday, is that when prices break out of structure over here, at this point of time, you can see that this wick over here liquidates these levels, right? And actually broke out of this 1 hour demand zone. And at this point of time, we weren't sure whether this is a liquidity grab or considered as a breakout structure, right? So we move on and we let the candle tell us what it wants to do, right? This is a strong bullish move that broke out of highs. So this tells me that prices wants to head higher. And this is a liquidity grab. So over here, we expected prices to move towards this demand zone, this sell to buy move that caused this break of structure, right? Before moving off. And what we have to understand is that prices may not necessarily come back down to mitigate these areas before moving off. we can continue to see bullish order flow on the lower time frame, liquidating these positions and these positions, right, before moving down into this demand zone. So this demand zone is still valid, but it may not come back to mitigate these areas instantly. And this is how we actually caught the 1 minute entry over here. Because we understand that prices are still in a bullish movement, right? We are still in a bullish order flow. Left behind this demand zone, came back down to tap this level, gives us a shift in structure, tapping into this demand zone where we place a buy limit, stop loss beneath this level, aim for liquidity highs, right? So you can clearly see that prices really came back up all the way into this level, liquidate these highs before moving down, right? And now we can see that, okay, prices may have a high probability that it wants to shift because it broke out of structure over here, right? And this was the final shift. You can see that we are still a buyer when prices came back to this area, right? So we see a shift over here. We could have bought over here, right? And when these prices failed to make a higher high, right? Because with this shift, we expect a higher high to be met. But when it fails to make a higher high and broke down instead, we are expecting bearish movement, right? And this is where we can actually look for sell models, right? Maybe over here, we have a break of structure validating this supply zone. So prices can come back down, distribute into lower prices, leaving behind supply zones for you to get involved all the way into your 1 hour POI, which is at these areas, right? So look to buy here, okay? Look for the confirmation and the shift in structure. And this means that on the lower time frame, on the 1 minute or on the 5 minutes, you can catch this bearish movement into your 1 hour POI, okay? So you can catch this move over here. Over here, we have the USDCHF. So we came a long way, right, from the weekly time frame. This is the zone that we were looking for, right? Prices taps into this area. We are looking for the shift inside of here, right? So we see this break of structure leaving behind demand zones where we caught buys into over here, right? And this is our ultimate level because we understand that prices may come back to this supply zone before moving down, right? So our bias is still upside, right? We are still bullish bias. And you can see currently prices taps into this area of demand, give us a shift in structure over here, right? Leaving behind demand zones for us to get involved into these areas, right? And over here now on the daily time frame, what can you see? You can see this sell model over here, right? This is bearish order flow already. And we're looking for sell side move into this demand zone before actually looking for buys. So we do not buy here. We wait for prices to tap into this level, accumulate before moving higher. So we catch buys inside of here, right? And this means to say that we are actually able to catch sells along the way down. So it's a matter of whether prices taps into this area first or come back into supply zones for us to catch and get involved, right? So if you drop down to the 8 hour time frame, you can see that we have this supply zone. And this is how we can actually get involved in sells, right? Prices comes back into this area, then we look for the distribution down into lower areas. So liquidate these positions first before moving into our demand zone. And you can see this is so perfectly distributed, right? You can see prices liquidating these highs, give us a shift in structure, leaving behind supply zones here to get involved. Okay, so over here we see shift again, tapping into supply zones to get involved. And this means to say that we are looking for a shift over here to get involved into this demand zone. Then accumulate over here before prices moving higher. And all of this will be served as liquidity highs, right? Liquidity highs, liquidity highs, liquidity highs, and trendline liquidity. So this is how we actually plan to get involved in the USDCHF. Next, we have the dollar yen. And you can currently see that we have an inside bar over here, right? So this serves as our supply zone. Prices creates this movement over here. So this may be familiar to most of you, right? Buying climax, automatic rally, ST, your UT. And now giving us this move down, right? So it hadn't break this automatic rally just yet, but it broke this minor structure. So with this, we expect prices to move probably into areas over here, giving us the real shift that breaks out of the automatic rally, and maybe over here as well. So with this, we are looking for supply zones inside of here for prices to tap, shift to liquidate lows over here. So this is our trading setup for the dollar yen. Over here we have the Euro New Zealand, And you can see that this is the demand zone where prices may come back to mitigate, accumulate, and move up, right? To liquidate positions here, equal highs here, trend line, and whatsoever. All right. So on the 1 hour time frame, you want to understand what prices are currently doing. Okay. And you can see that with this move up, right? So this is the buying climax automatic rally, ST, your signs of weakness, UT, your UTED, that ultimately shifts and breaks this automatic rally over here, right? Leaving behind what? Supply zones where you may have gotten involved over here on the lower time frame, or currently this 30-minute supply zone here where prices taps into, right? And you can see that we have a break of structure over here already. So if we drop down to the 15 minutes or the 5 minutes time frame, we understand that we can actually get involved, right? Because this is a high, creates a new high that now broke out of structure over here, leaving behind supply zones, right? Here, for us to get involved, and maybe here as well, maybe on the lower time frame, on the 1 minute time frame as well. So this supply is valid for sales as well. So if prices wants to come back towards this level, means that this area over here are all liquidity points, right? So we'll see whether we get a shift over here. Otherwise, wait for the shift to happen here. And ultimately, where are we looking to target, right? So can you see that all of these will be served as liquidity areas, right? All of these areas, eventually to move prices towards this demand zone on the daily time frame, on the 8 hour time frame, right? So some of you may actually refine this further into this IB over here, right? So let me just mark this out. Some of you may actually look for buying opportunities inside of this inside bar, right? Or some of you may be even going down to the lower time frame on the 30 minutes time frame, and you can see that this is another buy to sell or sell to buy, right? So this is valid as well. So look for the confirmations as prices taps into this area, right? If you're a Wyckoff trader, look for the STMB or spring to happen here. That gives you the shift, right? Leaving behind demand zones to get involved.